History teaches us that whatever new Africans in America began to express self-determination and self-sufficiency in an organized form, state attacks it. From the rise of the Klan during Reconstruction, J. Edgar Hoover deeming the Panthers' free breakfast and other serve the people programs as the greatest threat to U.S. national security at the time. The U.S. has always attacked those institutions that dare to assert genuine freedom. None would disagree that as free people, we have a right to organize the aim in our communities to serve our own interests. However, we must also understand the only rights we have in this country are those we can enforce. Our rights can only be enforced through self-defense. To this end, the Secure Communities Mandate and the Community Safe Zone initiatives are integral parts of the Autonomous Infrastructure Mission, designed to defend our people and the institutions we build from both internal and external threats. There are conditions which exist in our communities as a result of our national oppression, from gangbanging to dope dealing, from irrational violence to sexual predation, which exposes our women, children, and elders to the potential threat of injury or violent death. The Community Safe Zones initiative is designed to create mutually agreed upon safe sites in our communities, where our youth, women, and elders can go about the daily activities of social life without the fear of violent death, assault, or abduction. In every community where subculture elements are organized, I'm talking about gang members, drug dealers, etc. These elements also have mothers, grandparents, younger siblings, children, or little homies and homegirls that they love and care for, and would have no problem supporting any effort that would ensure their safety. Community Safe Zone Initiative seeks to leverage this fact to identify and clearly mark specific sites in our communities where our people congregate most to establish mutually agreed upon safe zones. This will require AIM activists designated community engagement teams who live in the community to engage with leadership elements within these street tribes to clearly articulate the value of these safe zones to their own families, their loved ones, and other subculture elements indigenous to that community, and the broader value of the AIM itself to themselves and their families as a reason for ensuring these spaces remain secure and off limits when it comes to the more negative aspects of the gang culture. This is why indigenous leadership must be a cornerstone of all AIM initiatives. Gang members are more likely to respond positively to those they've known and grew up with all their lives than some outsider trying to tell them where they should and shouldn't kick it at. It is the responsibility of the CSZI community engagement teams to engage and ensure that all parties are aware of and agree to the designated safe zones in the community. Once these sites are mutually agreed upon and clearly demarcated, the CSZI site defense teams are enacted. Each designated safe zone, no matter if it's the laundromat, children's playground, one of the local stores, etc., will be manned by 3 or more CSZI personnel known as the Eye, the Voice, and the Fist. Site defense teams will be composed of those CSZI activists with some security, intelligence, and tactical training from the subject community, willing to volunteer their time in 2 to 4 hour shifts, depending on how long that particular site operates, to ensure the safety and security of the safe zone and our people. The SDTs will work in teams of 3. 1, an observer called the Eye. 2, a de-escalator called the Voice. And 3, an ideally armed intervener called the Fist. The Eye will monitor all activity in and around the site, watching for potential threats to our people, women, youth, and elders, be they physical threats, potential abductors, robbers, etc. The Eye will stay in constant radio communication with the Voice and the Fist. Though designated an observer, the Eye will be trained in the event of necessity to physically intervene to support the Fist, or act in that capacity to prevent the injury, abduction, or death of anyone in or around that safe zone. The Voice must ideally be someone with excellent interpersonal skills, a commanding presence, yet assertive and diplomatic. When a potential threat is detected by the Eye, the Voice is tasked to engage the subject to determine if they are indeed a threat to the safe zone, and if so, determine to either neutralize the threatening circumstances of the subject's interactions on the site, or to request the subject leave the site. In the event the subject is deemed an imminent threat, the Voice will summon the Fist. The Voice, though primarily a first contact and de-escalation operative, will nevertheless possess the tactical acumen to support the Fist if necessary, and act to intervene to ensure the safety of our people at risk in the safe zone if necessary. The FIST is specifically designated to physically intervene in the event of a threat to the safe zone. Because of the potentially dangerous nature of such an intervention, the FIST must be highly trained to quickly subdue, neutralize, or if need arise, eliminate a threat to the lives or health of those present at that safe zone. Both the eye and the voice are empowered to support the FIST if necessary. The FIST ideally would be armed with a concealed carry permit, depending on the laws in your specific state. SDTs do not work with law enforcement. If a subject has been deemed a threat to a designated safe zone, the mandate of the STT is to either peacefully remove the threat from the safe zone or neutralize the threat and forcibly remove it. Circumstances will dictate the means. Ensuring the safety and security of our communities is a prerequisite to our collective success and a common sense approach if we are to ensure the social life of our communities is a quality worth living. Which brings us to the Secure Communities mandate. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, every 7 seconds a new African female is abducted, victimized, or murdered in the United States. Our anemic response to historic police brutality, preventable injury, and racist massacres is inescapable. The reactionary violence carried out by misguided street tribes and the drug trade in our communities on an almost daily basis behind gang banging and drug disputes does not signal to outsiders that we are strong, but instead it shouts we are weak and vulnerable. A community at war with itself is a weak community, easy prey. It's why racist police do not fear beating and murdering us in broad daylight in front of witnesses, while sexual predators and pedophiles do not fear hunting our women and children in our streets, or white supremacists do not fear attacking or burning our places of worship, because in their eyes, we are weak and vulnerable. Easy prey with no reprisals. With social trends moving inexorably towards further violence from organized racists and enduring vulnerability, we can no longer allow this state of affairs to persist. We all watched, along with the world, as Dylan S. Roof murdered 9 of our sisters and brothers in the Emmanuel AME Church and the slaughter at Stamp's grocery store. Just as decades ago we watched 4 little new African girls in the Alabama church murdered by a Klansman's bomb. We watched as George Floyd was choked to death in broad daylight in front of multiple onlookers and no one intervened. Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, Renisha McBride, Eric Garner, John Crawford, Ezra Ford, Michael Brown, Oscar Grant, Laquan McDonald, Tavion Rice, Breonna Taylor, and so many more stretching in the unbroken line of corpses all the way back to the Middle Passage. Demand that we institute the Secure Communities mandate with all due haste. The SCM will be implemented in 5 segments. 1. Martial arts. 2. Arms. 3. Archery. 4. SEER. And 5. Community security. The first 4 components are tactical in nature. Skills, which will allow us all to implement the strategy of the Secure Communities mandate embodied in its final component, community security. Community security begins with a simple change in how we communicate, how we interact with one another. Introduce yourself to your neighbor on all immediate sides of you. Your neighbor in front of you, to the left side, to the back of you, and to the right side. You should know who your neighbors are, and they should know you. Let these discussions lead naturally in the basic awareness of each other and for each other. Let these actions lead organically into looking out for one another, and thus community security. Community security is the most vital component of the SCM, as it will dictate when, how, and where we must employ all the other components of the Secure Communities mandate. The stated aim of the SCM's community security mission is to preserve the life and safety of community members and to neutralize or eliminate any threat to the life and safety of our people. As each initiative of the AIM is designed to work in interconnection, the SCM's standard counterpart to meet this mandate is the Community Safe Zones Initiative. This means wherever the SCM is organized, a functioning CSZI must also be present. The SCM's community security protocol will be organized in 3 components. Community patrols designed to cultivate deterrence. Reactive intervention designed to cultivate a competent emergency response and defense capability. Threat assessment and tracking is designated to cultivate a force capable of proactive neutralization of clear and present dangers to our people and our community. I will not go into detail on all of these components here, as they are outlined in the SCM initiative itself, but I do want to touch on a few of them and why they are so vital to us all and the entire aim itself. A secure community is one that is aware of what is transpiring within its borders, aware of potential threats, and possessing the capacity to respond to them effectively. Community patrols give us this capability and a further layer of support to those designated safe zones in our community, ensuring in any case of internal contradiction or external threats, be they racist cops, sexual predators, or dangerous white supremacists, we will not only have the capacity to know where they are and respond to them effectively, but the simple presence of these forces will serve to deter potential actors from even considering threatening anyone in our community. If and when our people or community does come under threat from anyone, our reactive intervention protocols will be capable of effectively intervening to ensure the safety and security of our people and our communities. We will not hold a cell phone and record in cases of police brutality. We will intervene. We will not just write down the description of an abductor. We will ride them down, liberate our people, and deal with them accordingly. We will not run and hide in the case of some racist active shooter. We will eliminate the threat with extreme prejudice. But even this is not equal to the demands of the threats we face. We must be capable of assessing threats before they materialize on our doorsteps. This is the reason threat assessment and tracking is such a vital component of the Secure Communities mandate. Due to the unique nature of U.S. fascism and the fascist mass psychology of white supremacy in America, our communities face particularly dangerous threats from white nationalist hate groups. This reality prompts the need to maintain a degree of surveillance on such groups working in and around the cities where our communities are situated. SCM personnel will utilize all available information gathering medium to identify those groups who pose a legitimate threat to our communities and its members. Locate any and all physical locations where they may operate and engage passive surveillance on these sites to trace all subjects associated with these groups and develop threat assessment profiles on all subjects. SCM personnel will pay particular attention to identifying and detailed tracing the leadership of identified threat assessment hate groups. The local SCM should maintain an extensive and highly detailed file, which should include places of residence, employment, etc. of leaders identified as hostile hate groups to our people. This intelligence gathering and maintenance is vital to the safety and security of our communities in these times, as such groups and their leadership have made open threats toward our communities and people, brazenly on social media and other media platforms, have demonstrated a level of sophistication in military tactics which could prove exceptionally deadly to our communities, and shown a determination to carry out such attacks in recent times. This means this aspect of our activities can be the difference between being able to neutralize an enemy threat before it occurs, or being able to preempt one in process, thus saving lives. The SCM is a necessary component of social life for our people if we are to live in safety and security, free from violence and abuse in a nation that hates us. The mere organization of our community's SCM structure will serve as a deterrent to both actual and potential threats, and places in our hands the means to effectively defend our own lives and the lives of those we love and live with. Its necessity to our future well-being is self-evident, as is the aim. But for those of you who do not truly grasp the underlying importance of the SCM or the aim as a whole, that claim to be serious about progressive social change, I'd like to ask a simple question. Do you know what the Insurrectionist Act is and what it entails? The vast majority of you will say no. And it's this collective lack of insight, especially among those calling themselves revolutionaries or progressives, which I and those of like mind find so disturbing. One of the reasons this is so relevant is in recent times you have had some openly and publicly asserting their intent to seize by force territory from the United States, yet have taken no steps to counter what those of us who know will occur in such an event. That the NSA and other U.S. intelligence and counterintelligence agencies such as the Federal Bureau of Investigations are fully aware of these assertions made by individuals. They are no doubt monitoring all communications by all involved and have initiated the necessary contingencies to neutralize such a move, which has been publicly announced, might I say again, if and when it occurs aside. The Insurrectionist Act calls for the immediate cordoning off of the area where such elements are operating. Next, the power in that area will be terminated. Has anyone made contingency for alternative heating and lighting resources such as solar farms or generator blocks? Under the Insurrectionist Act, the water supply in the targeted area will be flooded with laxative and sedative to induce uncontrollable bowel movements and sleep. Soldiers can't fight if they're sleep and shitting on themselves. Has anyone stockpiled clandestine stores of drinking and potable water? Soldiers can't fight thirst and the enemy and expect to defeat either. Under the Insurrectionist Act, all known food stores and or command and control of rebelling forces will be targeted and destroyed by drone strikes to starve and deprive leadership of rebelling forces. Has anyone seeded the community with naturally occurring food sources or cultivated the capability to knock a drone out of the sky? In each instance, the answer is undoubtedly no. But what if there were fully organized aims in that community, where the emergency response network would have ensured that the whole of the community had more than enough water to weather any storm, where the SSC had transformed every piece of land in that community to free food, where the New African Math and Science Center initiative would have cultivated the technological capability to potentially meet any challenge, where the CCEI would have ensured there were enough resources available to stockpile the community with enough food for any challenge, where the SCM and CSZI ensures we have the capability to defend ourselves and each other on a protracted basis, where the YCAP ensures our youth actually serve our communities, not destroy them. The AIM serves both its stated purpose and its unstated purpose. Preparation and competence is the difference between being serious about progressive social change and playing with revolution. The struggle is an exact science, and the revolution is not a game. Our lives are not a game. Our future as a people is not a game. What we do and how we do it right now will determine our relative preparedness and success in the future. What we are organizing is nothing less than the future of our people and the foundations of our independent New African nation. Let us be about the business of building it. Think on these things. It calls for great meditation.